Hello everyone, I am Sinix and this is episode 10 of Design Lab. So we're getting on up there. So for this episode, we're going back to the character side of things. And with a little help from the stream chat, I came up with the topic of space pirate. So we want this to be a human character. So just for the purposes of our thing, we're not going to do like creature stuff. So don't draw any, I don't know, mechanical space dinosaurs or anything weird like that. We don't want to do that. But we want to do a human. And I think we will try to do a male character as well. So bang. And that's just because the last one we did was a female character. The last character Design Lab was female mage, I believe the topic was. So we're going to go back and do a human male character. And I think this is the first human male character we've done with viewer participation. Obviously, we had the, what was it? Oh yeah, the Ocean Warrior Design Lab, and you might want to look back on that one to get, some ideas as to how the thumbnailing process goes when it comes to characters. And I think the main thing to remember is that we don't care about composition at all. We're not focusing on making an illustration. We're just focusing on making a design. So think about it like a design sheet. You might have seen them in art of books or other kind of concept art type demonstrations. But we're not caring about the composition. We're just going to have probably, a blank sheet with, a character on it against like a, plain background. So just focus on that, focus on the character, focus on what makes the character interesting, what kind of clothing elements, obviously, maybe some equipment stuff since this is set in space. And the whole pirate side of thing, that's a little open to interpretation. Obviously, when you think about a pirate, you think about, someone who loots and plunders and steals. So kind of like an outlaw type person in space. But I guess they could also be more on like the scavengery side of things. But the important part to remember is just the outer space. So they need to look like, they're futuristic, they're in outer space. And if you can give them touches that make them seem piratey, it doesn't have to be super cliche, like a pirate hat and a mechanical bird or something. But it's definitely up to you to figure out how to do it tactfully and, in a clever fashion. So yeah, show it off with costume. Don't focus too much on props because, some props maybe. We remember this isn't a mechanical industrial design lab. This is definitely based on the character. So costume stuff, some props. Focus on your character design. It doesn't have to be super rendered. Once again, these are thumbnails. We want them to be quick and easy and just give general ideas. So I think I'll just quickly jump into a blank canvas just to kind of get you guys going and explore some of my own personal ideas. So now we have our blank canvas, and you're definitely free to develop ideas in whatever method you might come up with. But for me personally, I like to kind of do the basic approach of just making little thumbnails. So there, I usually just start with the head, and then just do a quick rib cage, which is, kind of like a pentagon, but not really. And then I do a little lower body and just kind of one shape with the whole kind of pelvic region thrown in. And that's kind of my basic and pose thing. And then I can just throw in some legs. You can start them with lines if you want, just to kind of decide, how big things should be. But I think we'll just keep it nice and simple for now. So top of the leg, bottom of the leg, and then like a foot down here. And do the same thing over here. Made his legs really skinny for whatever reason. But that doesn't matter, the size of things, because we're basically going to cover that all up when we draw our costumes and things. So there's an arm, top of the arm rather, there's another arm, and you can see how I kind of just quickly form these without too much effort. Except I'm messing up a lot. But then the hand can just be like a little triangle or something like that. And there's like a really basic kind of ugly looking gesture with no personality. But just for the purposes of showing you methods, that's fine. I'm not going to really put any effort into this. So there's like a basic, average size, average weight person, male figure. And the size, the weight, the height, and the pose of someone can all kind of demonstrate your character. So remember to use those things. Maybe if you want your character to feel very, greedy and maybe, I don't know, evil in some way, they might be fat and hunched over. And, you can show a lot with your basic pose of the character. The silhouette of the character should demonstrate something about that character. So here's my, stupid little guy. And I don't know what I'll do. Let's just say, we have this idea of a space pirate. Maybe he's got like one of those big retro helmets, and maybe I'll just cover up his whole head. And then maybe he's got, some kind of basic attire that's, like a spacesuit. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's just give him a basic spacesuit. So it could be, kind of have these large bubbly chunks, and I don't know. This doesn't really show up that well in my tiny little thing, does it? Got to move his arm around a bit. So he's got those tiny little hands. He's got these like big shoulders. Maybe he's even got something on his back like an air tank or some kind of jet booster. And then I'll just give him these little tiny legs. I don't know. What kind of legs should he have? Yeah, I'll make them kind of small. There we go. And he's gonna have little feet too, because that's weird. Normally they'd have like big boots, but he's just gonna have little tiny feet. So there's our little silhouette, and we could play with that more. Say we want to give him a visor, we could give him, a straight across weird visor. We could give him a round visor. And once again, I don't expect your space pirate to have like a spacesuit like this or anything. I'm just personally brainstorming ideas that I might come up with. So maybe he's got that, and then on top of the visor, he's got like some painted like a little Jolly Roger skull and crossbones thing going on. That might be interesting. Then he definitely looks like a pirate, doesn't he? Without being too literal. Maybe that is too literal, but it would just kind of be a nice clashing design mix of having something very futuristic and something more, obviously more retro and fantasy based. So there's our little kind of silhouette, and I would recommend if you're just doing, basic little silhouettes, you might want to bring in some color too, just to kind of have some other design elements. So let's see, maybe he's got like color on his arms. I don't really know. I'm kind of just like trying to talk and design, and that never works out that well for me. That's stupid looking. But yeah, something weird, something interesting, and maybe he's got some on his feet as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He's got some stupid looking suit. But that's not that important right now. Again, I'm getting sidetracked, and I shouldn't have done live commentary on this because obviously I'm terrible at doing live commentary. But that's some approach you can take, just having these things flying out. But let's kind of let's move on. And another thing you can do with your character sheets is to actually kind of establish some detail stuff. So maybe you have this character, and maybe he's got like a gun or something that's like his personal gun. You can go ahead and like render something out real fast that kind of shows what his gun might look like, in addition to the thumbnail. And that might be, something productive to do. So look at that, I just made a few quick strokes and it looks like a gun. How lucky I am. And in addition, you could also maybe draw close-ups of the character's face just to kind of really establish what your character looks like. So I don't know what I'm doing here. But let's just say there's a quick little face. I don't know how quickly I can draw a face, but let's see. And let's just make him something simple. So we'll just quickly give him a couple eyes. And a little facial, I don't know, a quick little nose maybe. Obviously this is not really, a detailed face like, you might do. because once again, live commentary, just trying to finish something up. Um, but yeah, you draw some eyebrows and whatever, and this is the type of thing you could do, except obviously more detailed. So we have our weird little character right here, and I guess you can decide on what kind of crazy haircut you can give him and um, things of that nature. Maybe he's got like a mustache for whatever reason. But okay, I'm gonna just stop messing around with this right now. So that's kind of the basic idea. You can draw thumbnails, you can draw detail stuff if you want, but once again, don't render it out tightly. Just kind of be like, okay, this is what the guy looks like. He's got these like long face with this big nose and big ears, and he's got a little mustache, and that's all you have to do if you want to do that. You don't even have to do that. But anyway, gestures, thumbnails, just establish a character. Make him have some kind of distinct personality. And I think that's about everything. So, good luck, have fun. And once again, I completely forgot to mention, but we are going to do this on conceptart.org. So if you want to submit your entry, I will be posting a link to that thread in the comments section below. So be sure to look in the why did I say comments? Be sure to look in the description below. It'll be in the description area, and there will be a link to the conceptart.org thread where you can post your images as well as comment on other people's images and kind of talk about ideas you might have. You can basically do whatever because it is a thread. So I think that's it. Hopefully you guys have fun with it. Don't let all this, nonsense distract you from what might be some interesting and good designs you guys might come up with. You can just ignore this. I'm just sharing work methods. But yeah, all right. I think that's all. So the deadline will probably be around a week, like always, 7, 8 days, something like that. And I will see you guys shortly.